Yap Chan is a blogger, podcaster, self-confidence consultant, author, and speaker whose sole purpose, drive, and passion is to help women live a better life. She currently inspires women every day through her podcast called Tao of Self Confidence, where she interviews various women about their inner journey to self-confidence. Sheena also teaches women how to create a business and live life by design by learning how to create an income utilizing the internet.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of In Love With Me, where we feature inspiring individuals who will share their amazing stories. I am Mafae Velasco, your host, and for this episode, we have Sheena Yap Chan to empower us today. So let's welcome Sheena all the way from Canada. Hi, Sheena.
Hi, Mafae. Hi,
Thanks
everyone.
for joining me.
Oh, no, thanks for having me.
Of course, it's a funny story, guys. Me and Sheena, I was able to be part of her podcast 4 years ago. We were just mentioning that. And this is our first time actually seeing each other face to face. I always would hear your calming voice. So I'm so glad that we have this platform for us to finally meet like this. But before I ask you what you've been up to lately, especially during this time, can you please share with everyone how did you become the empowered woman that you are today?
Sure. So a little bit about me. I was born in the Philippines, Cebu, Philippines, and my parents migrated to Canada when I was 7 years old. And, all my life I was just told to go to school, get good grades, get a job, and just follow the path. And, as much as I did that, I always knew there was something inside of me realizing like that wasn't it. And it took a while for me to get over that hump because, it's not always easy to go out there and do something on your own. And like, you never know what's going to happen. You might not have a steady paycheck. You don't know what your next steps are. But, it did take a lot of life experiences. And especially, about 9 years ago, my aunt passed away from an accident and made me realize how short life is, right? She was in her late 50s when this happened. And it was just like a wake up call. And it didn't happen like at that moment, but gradually, I just took the steps to go out there and do my own thing. So, just things just, started happening. I was open to the signs or notices that like came at me, and I just started doing things like, I decided to sell my condo, I decided to travel, I decided to start, something that I wanted to do to also help other women be empowered and do something on their own and live life to their fullest and do the things that they love. Because, as an Asian woman, we're so underrepresented, and especially as an Asian woman, we're always just like told to, never make any noise, always, follow what everybody tells you. And it really hurts us, right? Because, we end up being unsure of ourselves. We can never make a decision. We never go with our gut feeling, and we just feel like we're not good enough or we don't value ourselves. So that was the main reason why I created this podcast. We were underrepresented. Asian women are still stereotyped as, quiet and submissive, which is not the case. And I also wanted to create a stronger representation of Asian women. And so I decided to create this podcast where I can interview, you know, Asian women from different backgrounds, different countries, different careers, you know, hobbies, whatever it is, and share their story of, hardships that they went through, the confidence issues that they went through and how they are able to overcome it. Because, when we see somebody that, we have similar cultures, similar faces,
Yeah.
And just similar life experience we've been through, and knowing they can overcome it, you can just say to yourself, like, if she can do it, I can do it, right?
Right.
So that show, like the podcast alone, helps me a lot because I never realized there's so many women out there who go through these things, right? Who go through all these, like like feeling small and not trusting themselves, not being able to make a decision, always worrying about what other people think of us. Like these are things that so many women go through, but we always feel like we're alone because we're never allowed to talk about it, right? When people back then, it's like if you had mental health issues, it was considered a taboo, like going to seek mental help was like something bad, something was wrong with us. But we have to find ways to help us heal and help us build confidence. And I'm glad nowadays it's more women are a lot more comfortable doing that, talking about that they seek help, right? Because especially as Asian women, we're not allowed, it's like it's so we feel bad when we ask for help.
Mhm.
So we have to get over that hump and realize, like, we can't do everything alone. And, the more women we can, help each other out, connect with each other, and, share our stories, we can really inspire each other and, be empowered. And, just the stories alone can help you have that wake up call you never realized, or, just that relatability factor, like, oh my God, I went through that
Yeah.
same process she did, but she's able to live her life to the fullest now, and I want to be like that too.
Mhm.
And it doesn't matter what age you are. I
Mhm.
always say it's never too late. I know sometimes it feels like it is, but it's never too late. I mean, I read a lot of stories of women who start their careers in their 40s and 50s and still make a really great career. Like I remember reading a story about a Chinese woman from China. She's known as the hottest woman in China because she's created this hot sauce
Mhm.
that's $1 billion enterprise. And
Oh
she started
wow.
it, yeah, and she started in her 50s. So it's
Yeah.
like anything's possible, right? And it
Mhm.
just gives you that glimmer of hope, like it's never too late. So
Yes.
yeah, I mean, that has helped me become an empowered woman, and just learning to um build confidence every single day, because not every day I'm always confident.
Mhm. Yeah.
Everyone has their down days. Like, a lot of people have this notion that confidence is just like this loud and boisterous person, but really you don't have to be. It's just like learning to be your true self, learning
Mhm.
to accept your imperfections, because we're nobody's perfect,
Yes.
and embracing them. So I think it's really important that we share these stories, we share what we've been through, how we can overcome them, and show others what's possible.
So speaking of that, you did mention to me that you have reached almost what 800 women from
Yeah.
around the world.
Yeah.
How amazing! And when did you start?
I started it in September of 2015.
Wow.
So like in the first season, I started interviewing women from every background, every
Mhm.
cultural background. And then I decided to just start really using this platform to help to interview more Asian women, to create that representation, and to, have that support system. Because
Mhm.
I mean, 10 years ago, there's no way I could find anything like this before.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, growing up in Canada, I moved here when I was 7. Like, there was no TV shows about Asian culture or anything. And if
Mhm.
there was, it was like that one show that lasted one season.
Yeah. No, but that's so amazing because actually, when I first started this campaign that my family, my company created during this quarantine period, I thought about your podcast. I was like, wow, Sheena has been doing this for forever, and it's to me, it's been so much fun because like you said, we learn from different walks of life and how they turn around, certain challenges in their life. So with you, you did mention that you have off days. So when you have those days, how do you switch back to having a positive mindset? Do you have like certain mantras and things like that?
For me, working out boost will boost it up, especially during this quarantine season,
Mhm.
like this whole quarantine period. I mean, when you're stuck at home, all you want to do is just like eat. You want to make recipes, you want to bake, you want to cook, you want to go to the grocery, to buy stuff to cook and to eat. And it's like, I kept eating and just like gained weight, and it was like a downer for me. And I realized like if I wanted to change, I had to start with me. And, it's really hard sometimes to do home workouts because I really love going to the gym. And, I just had to push myself to do it. Now that the weather is actually warmer in Toronto, um, we're lucky enough to go out for jogs and stuff,
Yeah.
but, you know, I started doing home workouts. Even though
Mhm.
I hated it, I just
Yeah.
did it. I just had to push myself.
Yeah.
And the first time I did it, I wanted to puke because I was like, oh my God, I didn't realize this was so hard.
Yeah.
But I kept doing it. And even though
Mhm.
I was like falling on my butt, trying to do like a side plank, it
Yeah.
just like it was a hot mess. But
Mhm.
the good thing is nobody sees me doing it. So,
Yeah.
but
I
I
think that's
mean,
the best part of homework.
yeah. But I mean, you just keep doing it and you get better at it, 20 seconds might feel like forever, but then, you gradually start doing 30 and 40 seconds, right? And
Mhm.
yeah, for me, like, I don't know, working out just kind of clears my head. I just feel better at the end of the day
Mhm.
or the start of the day because I like doing it like in the mornings.
Yes.
And yeah, I just have I guess, yeah, I just feel better.
Yeah.
And just like I guess, listening, watching other people's stories or reading stuff, like kind of putting things in a perspective that is positive. I mean, bad stuff will happen to us. We'll always have setbacks, but we can always learn something from it, right? There's always a lesson in every experience that we go through, good or bad, right? Especially 2020 has been like a crazy year, but maybe the world is trying to test us to see how courageous we are. We never know, right? There's always like a lesson we can learn from it. We can,
Mhm.
there's so many people out there who's finding creative ways to start a new career or,
Yes.
market their business or,
Mhm.
maybe this is the time for you to start a hobby. I mean, like, literally the world's on pause right now, right? Anything's
Mhm.
possible. Or you can you know, just take a break.
Right.
As women, we feel like
Exactly.
we feel like we have to be on the go, 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 right?
Mhm.
Or else we don't value ourselves. But sometimes
Mhm.
we just need a break and just, you know, have some me time,
Mhm.
self-care, because self-care is important. Like,
Yes.
I remember talking about this to a family friend of mine. She's like, yeah,
Mhm.
nobody teaches us how to take care of ourselves, right? Like they don't
Mhm.
teach that at schools, especially as Asian women. We're always told to please others and make others happy. And we forget that it ruins, like, we have to sacrifice our own happiness to make others happy. And that's not
Mhm.
healthy as well. So, whether it's doing a home spa since most of the salons are closed.
Yes.
For me, like I've been watching a lot of Korean dramas.
Yeah. Me too. I'm
Oh
guilty
my
with that
gosh.
one.
I'm just like, why did I just start watching it now? But I mean, like whatever feeds like your soul,
Mhm.
do it because we're all different, right? We all have different tastes, different talents, and the great thing about confidence and what I've learned, from interviewing all these women is that there's so many ways to build confidence, but the best thing is you can pick and choose what works for you. Like, for me, I can't like sit down and meditate,
Mhm.
like, have like meditation video and like I'm sitting there with my eyes closed, legs
Mhm.
crossed. Like I just end up falling asleep. I've tried it multiple times and it just doesn't work. And for the longest time I felt so bad. It's like, what's wrong with me? Why can't I do it?
Mhm.
Because it wasn't my form of meditation. For me,
Mhm.
working out, helps me clear my head, especially when I'm jogging outside. It's
Mhm.
nice weather, even better if it's a beach. I'm
Yeah.
running along the beach. But like that's my form of meditation, like
Mhm.
everything just goes away. I just clear my head and I just focus on like finishing the half hour that I need to do or 1 hour or whatever route I want to take. That's my form of meditation. And I think that's the best part, right? Like learning to pick and choose what works for you. I mean, I'm sure there's ways that you build your confidence that might
Yeah.
not work for me, but it'll work well for you.
Mhm.
And whatever works, that's the best thing to do, right? And
Mhm.
it just takes trial and error, right? Because we
Mhm.
don't know sometimes. we never
Mhm.
know if maybe for some people now it's baking, right? Especially during
Yeah.
quarantine. Everyone's
Have you done
baking.
it too?
I've tried, but it's been a fail, so I stopped.
Yeah, I let my daughter do that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I haven't, my niece has been baking a lot, so it's been good, but not so good for the waistline. But so, yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, you were saying that it's great weather there now. Is it getting into? I think you said summer, right?
Yeah, it's summer, so they're saying like this week it might go up to like 34 degrees, which is
Wow.
probably like the weather in the Philippines.
Yeah. Well,
But
here we're just sweating like
yeah.
it's a hot box
Yeah.
in our house. So if you don't see it right now, but there's an electric fan just hitting me just to make sure I don't glow anymore in my face. But yeah, regardless, I like the fact that you're sharing your tips on how you meditate or different ways, because everybody's different. We absorb certain things that boost our happy hormones or make us relax. So it doesn't mean that you have to be comparing yourself all the time with people on social media, right? Um, so normally you're busy, you're grinding daily, but now you're forced to relax. And you did mention also that you're now watching Korean drama. I'm
Yeah.
guilty of that too. And you're not alone, because I did have another guest, and all her. I'm not sure if you've watched Chloe already. Have
Oh,
you watched
that
Chloe
was the first one I saw, and
Yeah, I think
it just went downhill from there.
I think it came at the right time for a lot of women, because I can't
Yeah.
speak for the men. I don't know if you're liking the Korean drama, but for a lot of women who are just wearing multiple hats and was just working 24/7, this is like their relaxation. And
Yeah.
every woman I've spoken to would say that. Meditation, yeah, K drama. And I'm like, oh, same. But yeah, so is there anything else that you've tried new apart from K drama and home videos for workouts?
Well, I did try baking and that was a fail.
It's
But
not
I've
for
been,
everyone.
it's
It's
not for
okay.
everyone. It's not for me. But I do try to, I've been learning to start eating better now, especially with
Mhm.
the summer weather. Just getting back into shape and being
Mhm.
fit and having that routine of like eating cleaner and eating more whole foods versus processed foods. So
Mhm.
I know sometimes it's so easy, especially with like food delivery apps that just come right at
Yes.
your doorstep. But
Do
it's been
you, do
good.
you do you feel like the food apps, their pictures have become more nicer
Yeah.
to make you want to click on every single photo?
Yeah. It does. But I've learned to like control myself.
Yeah, you have to.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is I also want to help out the businesses here too,
Mhm.
right? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
and like, help other people who are still working
Mhm.
out there. I mean, there are still people out there who are still hustling and grinding and,
Yes.
doing essential work so that
Mhm.
we can stay home and watch K-drama.
Exactly. So, what would your words of advice to, let's say, aspiring people that want to start a podcast? How should they start? What should they prepare? I mean, everybody has a lot of time right now. So, what would you tell them?
My first thing is have a purpose. Like, what's the purpose of the show? Is it to educate people on a certain topic? Is it, a hobby that you want to speak about? The best thing about podcasting is you can be your true self, right? And I think that was the biggest lesson for me because I remember a few years back I went to a podcasting convention and you know I just saw so many people from like different backgrounds, different tastes, different kinds of podcasts, but they were all just themselves, right? And like everyone just like got along and everyone was friendly and I was just like this is this is like so crazy. I've never seen so many people who are just passionate about what they do and just being their authentic selves. And it's really rare because a lot of us hide who we are because we feel like people might not accept us or we get ridiculed. So, have that purpose and then, find out how you want to create this podcast. Is it something that you want to talk about by yourself? Is it something where you want to interview experts? You can do a mix of both. Do you want to have co-hosts or, more than, or two or three people hosting? Do you want to do video or just audio? Things like that. A best one thing you need to have is a microphone
Mm-hmm.
so that your voice does come out clearer and better.
Mm-hmm.
And, just like one thing they have is a software like podcasting hosting that
Yes.
enables it to go into directories like Spotify and
Mm-hmm.
Apple and Google Play.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, there are some technical um, hurdles you're gonna have to overcome like I did.
Yeah.
But the more you do it, the better you get at it. It's like
Mm-hmm.
when I first started doing home workouts and I fell on my butt. It sucked, but I kept doing it and I got better.
So, would you remember the most memorable person you have interviewed out of all the 800?
Oh my
You
God,
can
there's
take me
so
out
many.
there.
Actually, you know, I have I have this one lady I interviewed. She's
Mhm.
from Hawaii. She's half Filipina, and she's known as the first armless pilot because she was born with no arms. So she does everything with
Mhm.
her legs. She surfs, she drives, she cooks, she's black belt in karate, flies a plane,
Mhm.
and I
Gosh.
just yeah, I was just so, I was just inspired by her because it's like
Yeah.
she didn't let her I don't want to say disabilities, but
Yeah.
her shortcomings, I guess,
Yeah.
define who she was, right?
Mhm.
If she wanted to fly plane, then she would figure it out with her feet, right? Because she
Mhm.
didn't have any arms. And I remember one time when she said that what made her grow her confidence and be her true self was
Mhm.
she went on the bus one day without her prosthetic arms, and
Mhm.
she never felt more herself that day when she went on. And it's just amazing. Like, here's a woman who does everything with her feet and can
Mhm.
still accomplish so much and inspire so many people out there.
Mhm.
You know, realizing like you can do anything you want if you put your mind to it. I mean, I've interviewed a woman with no arms. I've also interviewed a woman who has no legs.
Okay.
And I remember one thing she said. She was like, I really wanted to learn how to skateboard, and I just did it. Like, she
Mhm.
didn't let the fact that she had no legs stop her from doing it. It
Mhm.
was just her desire to learn how to skateboard that made her want to do it. And I know sometimes we feel like we have so many weaknesses,
Yeah.
but sometimes that could be our greatest strength,
Mhm.
and you never know what's around there. And I know as Asian women we feel like everything has to be perfect and we can't make mistakes, but
Mhm.
sometimes your greatest mistake can be your greatest opportunity. I mean,
Yeah.
I've made a ton of mistakes. Even when I first started doing this podcast, I had a totally different name for it.
Mhm.
I wanted to call it the stripper because for me it was to strip your limiting beliefs
Right.
away. And then I hired someone to do the graphic for it,
Yes.
and it was basically like a stripper with a whip.
Oh.
And I was in this podcasting support group, and I was like,
Mhm.
"What do you think of this art, this podcast cover art?" And they're like, "I
No.
think you're giving the wrong idea."
Right.
And at the time I was like, "No." I mean, this is brilliant. And
Yeah.
then actually that kind of stopped me for a bit because like, man, this is not going to go well. I mean, if I can't even get the podcast cover art right, like
Mhm.
how am I going to get this show to like
Right.
help other women out there?
Mhm.
And the biggest lesson I learned from there was to be
Mhm.
clear and not clever. So that's why having that purpose is really huge when you want to start a podcast or any project that you have, right? Like really dig deep as to why you want to do it, because that purpose will help you give the confidence to go out there and do what you want, right?
Mhm.
Because it's not just about you, it's something that's bigger than you. Like,
Exactly.
it doesn't, and like your purpose doesn't have to mean you help 1,000 people. It can be something as simple as just like becoming a better mother to your children, right? Like, or helping your child become more confident in herself,
Yes.
right? Because sometimes just changing one person's life can
Mhm.
impact so many people out there because you never know who else they could impact, right? It could be that
Yes.
ripple effect. So it's really
Yes.
that's why they said, sometimes you just need one person to change your life because you never know where it will take you.
Totally true. Yes, I believe in that, you know. Um, so what is the definition of confidence to you?
Oh my gosh. There's so many definitions. I just
Mhm.
being your true self
Uh-huh.
and overcoming your fears. I mean, we all have fears, right? I have lots of fears. I do my best to overcome as many as I can. I remember the biggest fear that I had was doing video. Like I really hated doing video because I just didn't like it. I just felt really uncomfortable. I thought people would laugh at me. People might think I look stupid.
Mhm.
And I remember doing my first video, and
Mhm.
it took me like 2 hours to do a 2-minute video. And it was like hell for me. I was
Mhm.
like sweaty palms, dry
Yes.
throat. I'm like fumbling, like my words were fumbling, and it was
Mhm.
just like a hot mess.
Mhm.
But what helped me overcome it was
Mhm.
joining a women's support group.
Mhm.
And one of the activities was to cut a video.
Mhm.
And that really helped me because there was other women in that group who also had to do a video for the first time. So I wasn't alone, and it made me feel a lot better knowing that they went through the same fears I went through, and if they can overcome it, so can I. So yeah,
It's really surrounding yourself with, you know, people that will empower you, right?
yeah, like-minded
Um,
women, or
mhm.
someone who can elevate you.
Yes. So with that, Sheena, can you give us words of wisdom, especially, you know, people who are listening right now at this challenging time? What hope can you give them?
Right now, I know the world's been crazy, but like I said, something good will come out of this. This is a time for you to do really what you want. I mean, not everyone has that luxury right now. I know there's a lot of people out there who are struggling, but maybe there's a reason why you're in a situation that you're in right now, and that situation can help you, give you the opportunity that you never knew was possible, or you know something right in front of you can just show up out of nowhere. So if people want to start something new, I say just go for it, right? I mean, at this point, like, the world's basically on pause. There's like no pressure if it fails or not, and if it fails, it's not a big deal. I mean, you know you can just get back up and keep doing it again, right? I know we've always seen failure as something that's like the end of all ends, right? I mean, I know I went to school in the Philippines, and I know what it's like going to school in the Philippines. I mean, I failed kindergarten. So, um, we just keep getting back up, right? As women, we don't realize how resilient we are.
Mhm.
Like, we can overcome anything. I mean, I'm sure you've heard stories of your Lolas back in the day. I mean, I have, especially like, when it was World War II, what they had to go through. I mean, like, my Lola would tell me how she had to take care of her 10 siblings. Like, she had
Mhm.
to do everything, and not once did they ever complain.
Mhm.
Or my other Lola, like, she was, she never got, like, she never had the luxury to handle her own finances. Like, she
Right.
had to secretly like save up money to just buy something that she wanted. And it's
Mhm.
like it's amazing how they can do that and still be okay and still be happy and still can be positive. Like, tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's another great day, right?
Yes.
And especially through the hardships they've been through. So yeah, and then, if you want to just watch K-drama all day, that's okay too, because a lot of people are doing that. I mean, you do what works for you, what helps you, helps you meditate or clear your head. Like I said, there's so many ways to build your confidence. I mean, if you want to check out the podcast, you can hear so many women's stories of how they were able to overcome it. Advice that you can use, like, you know, with the internet, like, there's so many resources, like free resources out there that can help you out, especially at a time where maybe finances isn't, you know, in a great shape right now, especially with the pandemic. I mean, there's so many free resources. I mean, the podcast is free. You can download the episodes and listen to it at your own time. And even if you're like just, doing chores or whatever, well, maybe not stuck in traffic because we are in a pandemic, but like if you're just taking a walk, You know, you can just listen to them at your own time, and
Mhm.
or even when you're asleep, because they say, you know, you actually digest information the most when you're asleep. So,
Interesting.
yeah.
It's
Um,
really good advice.
yeah, I mean, you know, whatever it is, read self-help books, have a
Mhm.
gratitude journal, you know, read women's biographies,
Mhm.
whatever it is, you know, whatever helps you, like you just go ahead and do it. And like this is the
Mhm.
trial and error stage. You can see what works and what doesn't work. And
Mhm.
oh my God, I had something and it totally just went blank.
That's okay. You're saying a lot that really will help a lot of people right now. You know, if you remember it, just let me know.
Yeah.
But guys, I will make sure that Sheena's podcast links are in the caption so that you can check out all her interviews. We'll look up the ones that you mentioned earlier. Would
And
you?
and and also look up Mafae's interview as well.
My gosh, I always like, you know, my kids listen to it, and I'm like, oh, that was such a fun interview. At the same time, it's like, you know, maybe my accent was stronger when I was speaking to you because I kept laughing at myself. But anyways, you know, I agree with you where it comes to, you know, stepping out of your comfort zone, you know, really just trying out things that you wanted to try out. Like you said earlier, you had a fear of having video. I mean, I can be honest, you know, every time I interview someone, it's, you know, I pray and I make sure that, okay, no technical difficulties, please let the signal be okay. Because the challenge here is live coverage, right? And not going blank, because in the live coverage also, you need to make sure that there's a conversation going on. When I talk to people like you know, it really helps because, you know, you have so much to share. So it makes me really absorb what you're saying. And you know, I want to ask more questions, but of course, you know, we don't want to prolong the interview longer than it is. But I will definitely have you again. For people out there that want to ask more questions to Sheena, or just know more about what she's done, I'll make sure to put her Instagram handle here so that you can reach out to her. I'm sure Sheena is more than happy to answer questions and give advice, especially right now. You know, she has time. Just make sure you don't bother her when she's watching K drama.
No, that's okay. You can bother me during K-drama. I mean, if you want suggestions, I have tons. And so I did remember the one tip. Now is
Yes.
also a great time to figure out what your purpose is. And once you figure out your purpose, like
Mm-hmm.
you don't worry about the how. You just it'll just come to you. Like
Yes.
it just comes to you naturally. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy. There's going to be hardships, but I mean, like you just have that gut feeling. You just know it. So I think if you just, you know, sit somewhere quiet and just figure
Mm-hmm.
out what is it that you want to do in life, or
Mm-hmm.
what you know, most people are like, what kind of legacy do I want to leave, or
Right.
how can I make the world a better place? Like, what
Mm-hmm.
is it that I really want to do? Like, how can I do this? How can I help, you know, more women build more confidence? How can I help Asian women become more confident and go out there and live life on their own? Whatever it is, like now is actually a great time to focus on, figure that out what you want. And don't worry if you don't get it in a day, because you know, it took me a long time to figure it out too. And sometimes I still have to work on it because, you know, seasons change, we change, and our purposes, you know, change.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we work on it daily. Like confidence is something we work on for the rest of our lives. So, you know, it's not a linear thing. You know, it's a roller coaster, right? Sometimes you're 100% confident, and other times you're like negative 10% confident. So, yeah. Sorry,
But it's always
karaoke.
nice to know that we're not alone, right? Like
Yeah, I
the
think
women that you've interviewed, I
I
think that that's what helps.
I think that's the biggest thing. Knowing that we're not alone makes us feel.
Mhm.
I mean, for me, I feel a lot better when knowing I'm not the only one who goes through all this stuff, because,
Yes.
like, I just feel better,
Mm-hmm.
and it helps me realize like we're all in this together. Really, it's just nobody talks about it, especially
Mm-hmm.
in Asian culture, because it's like not proper. So,
Right.
you know, it's 2020. Our voices need to be heard. You know,
Yes.
there's so many platforms out there that you can use
Mm-hmm.
to elevate your voice. And like you said, you know, you can reach out and ask questions.
Exactly. And we have the power of of the tongue. For the ones that do have one, it's an important tool to use. I think a lot of people don't know how they are affecting others. With us, I guess we have our own journeys and stories, and that's the reason why we do what we do with our platforms. But we hope and share this to everyone so that you can also have a domino effect. Just like what Sheena said, it only takes one person that you can change their life, and then it'll ripple, and they can share that to other people, and by the time you know it, you have left a legacy. You have left something positive in the world, and it only takes courage. It takes action, and I'm very grateful for Sheena to be here to share that, because I always just hear you asking the question. So now I have flipped the seats, and I'm glad that you were able to share all that, because there's a lot of people out there right now, most especially right now, that needs to hear this.
Oh,
right?
thank you. Thanks. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Sheena. So with that, guys, actions speak louder than words. And thank you for tuning in for another episode of In Love With Me.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for watching In Love With Me series.